Alright guys, welcome back. I am Largo, and today we're checking out another death battle. This one's going to be Simone the Digger versus Kyle Rayner. Gurren Lagann versus Green Lantern. Alright guys, I know a lot of you are anticipating this one. This is the battle of willpowers in the most literal sense. Willpower versus willpower. I know they're giving Kyle Rayner his White Lantern form, and that is super OP. I have seen all of Gurren Lagann as well, so... initial inclination leans towards White Lantern, if I'm not gonna lie. If you guys have been following my channel, you know I'm a comic book nerd, you know I'm a DC fanboy, so I'm gonna lean that way by default. But let's go ahead and see the breakdown, because I know a lot of Gurren Lagann is metaphorical and stuff like that, and some of it's literal, and it's really crazy and goes to crazy scales, and it's also been years since I've seen it, so could use a little refresher. So let's jump right into it. Simone versus Kyle.
Deep underground, Jiha village lived in dreary
Jiha?
isolation, oblivious to the wider world above their squalid cave.
That's where the hero of our story comes in. The young man who would lead his comrades into the sunlight at last. Kamina, the great and mighty.
Kamina.
Oh, and his little brother from another mother, Simone. He was there too, I guess.
Simon was a digger, content to drill endlessly through the dirt, until the day he found the core drill.
A key that activated the mysterious buried mech that Kamina named Lagann.
Lagann.
Under his magnificently masculine leadership, Kamina finally drilled their way to freedom.
I mean,
This
you want to talk about a pair of iconic glasses? Like, look no further than Kamina, right? The most iconic glasses ever.
sun after a life in the dark.
But the sky was by no means the limit. The surface was ruled by the cruel chimeric beastmen, and Kamina would lead his compatriots against them to reclaim the Earth for humanity, scoring a second mech in the process, aptly named Gurren.
And as befits Kamina and Simone's unbreakable brotherly bond, Gurren and Lagann merged, creating Gurren Lagann.
With Kamina
I love
piloting
how you can just smash it together. Just like, oh yeah, just go. It works. Don't worry about it. But that is the power of Spiralpower.
the body and Simone the
It
head,
just works.
these two were unstoppable.
Of all the giant fighting robots in all the animes across history, Gurren Lagann might just be the absolute coolest, fueled by its pilot.
I don't know, guys. What do you think? There's a lot of giant mechs in anime. A lot. Gurren Lagann's definitely one of the most powerful. Definitely the largest, but coolest? I don't know. I think there's some good contenders out there.
Its willpower and capable of making any weapon they can imagine.
Including missiles, a jetpack, a sunglasses boomerang, and of course,
Drills!
Drills.
Wrist-mounted drills, kunai drills, shield drills,
You get a drill, and you get a
drills,
drill.
and everyone's favorite, the Giga,
The Giga
Drill.
Drill.
Baraku. Side note, it is so funny that the only thing they could think of was drills. That's like if I made booze or something, my
Well,
whole personality.
To be fair, it's not that unusual that they just have drills for everything, because Kamina and Simone lived underground their entire lives, right? Like their entire lives, cut off from any kind of outside information, cut off literally from the outside world. All they did was dig and drill tunnels and live underground and eat mole steaks and stuff. Like, there's not a lot of stuff, you know, coming in from the outside for them to interact with. You know, there's not a whole lot in their minds that they've experienced. Their world is very, very small. It's all darkness, rock and dirt and drills. Like, that's everything. So yeah, they're gonna put drills on everything. When it comes to like creativity and imagination between the two, I'm definitely giving that to Kyle, because he's a comic book artist. That's what they do. He's creative by default. Like, that's his job. He gets paid to be creative. Simone, like I said, completely cut off from the outside world. So yeah, of course he puts drills on everything. And he's completely drill minded. That's all he
With
knows.
Gurren Lagann's awesome power, Kamina laid waste to enemy forces, liberated human villages, and fomented a rebellion against the Beastmen King, Lord Genome.
Until Kamina died. Oh, wait, shit, was that supposed to happen?
that supposed to happen?
And it was all Simon's fault. He let his willpower waver, and his soul brother paid the price. After all, he was just a humble digger, at home in the darkness, guided solely by the light of Kamina's spirit.
So his big bro left him with these final words. Have faith in the Simon who believes in you. Damn.
Kamina was the one looking up to
He said,
him the
"Damn."
whole time. It was Simon who found Lagan, Simon who pierced the surface, and Simon who would now lead humanity to victory.
Especially with his gal pal Nia at his side, who helped pull him out of his rut and kick Lord Genome's ass. But victory only lasted 7 years before the anti-spiral attacked.
Unimaginably powerful godlike aliens, the anti-spiral feared humanity's potential, what they dubbed the spiral nemesis.
Remember how Gurren Lagann runs on fighting spirit? Turns out that's just a manifestation of spiral power, an energy that all spiral beings, like humans, have. That's right, the laws of physics run on chutzpah.
Just as the
Chutzpah.
spiral turned inward represents endless obsession and madness, the spiral turned outward spins forever into infinity, the perfect representation of humanity's evolutionary potential.
Potential Simon would use as he led Team
Okay.
Gurren across the multiverse to take the fight to the anti-spiral. And this is when Gurren Lagann
What is that? Let me tell you, it's been years and years since I've watched Gurren Lagann, so I don't remember that.
gets crazy.
Channeling spiral power lets you constantly adapt to threats, no matter how overwhelming. Simon can create portals to different realities and higher dimensions. He can generate force fields, absorb energy attacks, and even merge Gurren Lagann with bigger and stronger machines.
Creating the Arc Gurren Lagann, which is
His whole thing is literally breaking through to the next level. Like, that's literally his whole thing. My drill will break through the heavens. Like, yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense. He's the Mr. I break through any and all barriers.
strong enough to shatter space and time with a punch.
Or the Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann, which can
Super
fire
Galaxy
lasers that are
Gurren
fast
Lagann.
enough to hit, and I quote, all time, space, and dimensions, all within a Planck instant.
That's the smallest unit of time physically possible.
Meaning each laser would have to be moving 4.6 times 10 to the 117th power times faster than light. Oh, well, looks like this wins the award for fastest calculated speed feat in our show's history. Congratulations, Gurren Lagann.
Move
Okay.
over, SpongeBob. You've been dethroned. Oh, and the guidebook says they hit an innumerable number of enemies across infinite universes. You literally cannot calculate how fast that is.
But it wasn't enough to escape the anti-spiral's greatest trap, the multiverse labyrinth.
I mean, at that point, like, does speed even really matter?
An attack that imprisons Simon in his own unique multiverse, forced to experience an infinite number of alternate realities that controlled his mind.
That's pretty
permanently
gangster.
arresting him in a dream world.
Except
That's pretty gangster. Like a reality labyrinth, an entire series of realities of branching paths and timelines that you have to like experience. Like, that's a pretty good prison. That's pretty solid.
Simon and his spiral power are just built different. And after being inspired by his bro, Simon absorbed that whole multiverse to escape.
What makes this even more impressive is that this labyrinth was 11-dimensional, meaning Simon absorbed a higher dimensional structure several orders of infinity greater than himself. The jump
Oh,
between dimensions
God, that's
is basically
crazy.
infinite. Each new dimension adds a new direction of space that extends infinitely, thus an infinite gap in size and scope.
What?
Oh, we're just getting started. Imagine a two-dimensional drawing interacting with a three-dimensional person.
Okay. That's not too far off from what actually happened.
Because when Simon absorbed
That's an absurd level of power. Like, really absurd level of power. Like, Mr. Mixiel Spitlick in DC is a fifth dimensional imp, so he exists on a plane, you know, like way higher than that of the DC characters. And that right there would make Simone at least on Mixie's level, which is crazy,
Of the multiverse labyrinth, he merged with every alternate universe version
This is
of
gonna be a
himself,
big order for
including
Kyle
an alternate
to
universe
fill.
Simone, who is writing his own alternate universe version of Gurren Lagann. And
What? Okay, I didn't know that. That's
that
crazy.
author Spiralpower made his fictional Simone real,
What?
adding another to the mix.
Wait, if every human being has spiral power,
Damn. So you're telling me he's literally composite Simone, like as a canon thing in the all versions of himself wrapped into one. Like, oh my god, dude! Like, holy cow. Okay, all right. They might be changing my mind. I don't change my mind often, but they might be changing my mind.
you're telling me we can all do this shit?
This all gave our Simone enough spiral power to form the next step in mecha evolution.
Super
Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann.
This is when Gurren Lagann gets truly fucking crazy. Like shooting missiles that alter probability so they have 100% chance of hitting you, or tossing galaxies around like frisbees. Sorry, did I say galaxies? I meant universe.
I wonder how many people died every time they decided to throw one of those around as a weapon, right? Because, I mean, if those are all real galaxies or universes or whatever, and they're colliding with other galaxies / universes, I don't think you get that kind of collision without massive destruction. If those are inhabited galaxies, most of the species in those, this is, every time they throw one of those, it's like mass genocide.
Simone's power was so immense that he started generating super spiral space, a higher dimension encompassing our own universe.
With it, Simone turns his thoughts into reality, letting him create his
thoughts
mech
into
and all of his
reality.
weapons in the first place.
Not only does this mean he no longer needs
I know
co-pilots,
someone that can
he
do
can
that.
also regenerate any damage done to him or his mech just
That's
by
crazy.
willing it back into existence.
Like when Lord Genome used spiral power to
Got this
survive
thunder going
quantum
on.
breakdown, or
I don't know if you heard that, but I got some kind of crazy storm going on.
the time Nia, now the best wife in the universe, used spiral power to constantly regenerate her body from being erased at the informational level for 7 days straight.
Information in physics is essentially the ones and zeros that make up every possible outcome in reality. Nia literally regenerated from the statistical certainty of her own destruction.
If I have spiral power, whiz, when the fuck is my leg growing back?
When even this was not enough for the anti-spiral, Simone evolved one more time.
Do it again.
Into Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann!
This mech is so big, its size is literally incalculable. And with a drill somehow even larger than that, Simone and his friends shattered the anti-spiral once and for all.
Hey, cruel indifference of the universe! Meet the indomitable human
indomitable
spirit!
human
Proving
spirit.
Kamina's words prophetic, that Simone's drill is the drill that would pierce the heavens.
With no more worlds left to conquer, Simone chose to wander the earth for the rest of his days.
I may have forgotten how ridiculous spiral power was. Jeez. Watch, my power is gonna go out.
In service to others.
Always looking up. For all the lights in the sky are stars, and every star another world of spiral cousins that can live free.
All thanks to a humble digger.
The drill staff is pretty dope. All right, that was the breakdown for Simone, and I'm not gonna lie. Might have changed my mind because I think I forgot how powerful spiral power is. It's really legitimately limitless. And man, the Green Lanterns do have limits. They have known limits. I don't know, man. I think I might have to change from White Lantern Kyle to Simone. But maybe they did some more homework and there's something about Kyle that I don't remember or something. Being a White Lantern's pretty OP. Having the power of life and the life equation and stuff is, you're basically a god. He can wield all the powers of the emotional spectrum, so I don't know, man. Let's see. Let's check it out.
Is a dangerous place. Should you find yourself face to face with an interdimensional vampire, alien dictators, or this one really pissed off cat,
Dexter.
you know who to call.
The Green Lantern Corps. They're the Space Fuzz, an intergalactic police force founded billions of years ago by blue leprechaun gods.
And the greatest Green Lantern among them was everyone.
They snuck in the little leprechaun in there.
Of years ago by blue
Ah, look at him in the corner. Oh, God.
leprechaun gods.
And the greatest Green Lantern among them was everyone's favorite, Hal Jordan.
You know him. You love him.
I was gonna say, that's Hal. They keep showing Hal.
Hate him. But you gotta respect a man with a will as unbreakable as Hal's.
Until the day his
He is
will
the legend.
broke.
After his hometown got completely obliterated, Hal lost his mind. He rampaged through the core, killing everyone in his path, and absorbed the central power battery, the literal Green Lantern.
Becoming the Emerald Tyrant, Parallax.
There was only one survivor of Parallax's killing spree, Ganthet, and
They should have put a little asterisk on Parallax. Because it's, there was the whole fear entity thing, but, we'll glaze over that.
with what remained of his strength, he gave the last Green Lantern ring in the universe
Take it.
to a human.
Take it!
Kyle Rayner.
So, was Kyle picked for his indomitable willpower like Hal was?
He was just
Just imagine walking down the street and a tiny, 3.5 foot, 4 foot tall, I don't know, large headed, blue skinned old man comes up to you and he's like, "Hey kid, take it. Put this ring on. Yeah, it's okay, kid. It's free. It's free. Take the ring, kid."
there. He had no idea what was going on. Must feel good being given the most
All right,
dangerous
whatever.
magical weapon in existence to figure out on your own. Hey, if Colonel Sanders, Daffy Duck, Space
Colonel
Wheat, and a
Sanders, oh my
sentient
God.
fox can master it, what's your excuse, Kyle?
The Green Lantern ring can do anything, fulfilling any wish its user desires as though it were a genie from a lamp.
It lets you fire energy blasts, create force fields, affect gravity, turn invisible and intangible, manipulate matter, time travel, warp reality, and
Well, there's something they don't hardly ever do with Green Lantern: intangibility. Wow, they hardly ever do that. That must be some old school stuff.
erase things from existence.
Think we're exaggerating? Well, consider the time Kyle stretched the very fabric of space to increase the Planck length a billion times over. That's like stretching an inch into a light year.
Lanterns
good.
control time and space, letting them fly so fast they can create a Speed Force singularity.
Tapping into the Speed Force requires entering a higher dimension of space, requiring speeds that are not only faster than light, but totally immeasurable. And the rings have an artificial intelligence that operates just as fast, automatically protecting its user from danger.
Like the time that Boozer Kilowog survived being erased
Mother of God, calm down.
from existence by the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
The ring is fueled by its user's willpower and limited only by their imagination.
While Hal may have had the greatest willpower in the Corps, Kyle's imagination is unmatched, probably because
Okay, I'll go with that. All right, I'll go with that. Hal's got the greatest will, and Kyle's got the greatest imagination. I'll go with that. I'm pretty sure Hal was the one that forged a Green Lantern ring out of nothing but pure will. Like, he was literally in a cave and was like, "All right, I'm gonna make myself a Green Lantern ring because mine's broken," and he just forged one out of just nothing, just out of pure willpower. I think that's a pretty good showing that he's the strongest of will. But yeah, Kyle's definitely the most creative, at least out of the Earth Lanterns.
he's a comic book
I
artist.
mean, as much as I love Hal Jordan, dude, how many times are you gonna make a boxing glove, my guy? Come on.
And we know from this show, they think of some wild shit.
But the Green Lantern's most recognizable ability is their constructs,
Like
Kyle's
constructs.
speciality.
Samurai armor, pirate ships, giant dragons, actual working home computers, and his favorite, super fighting robots. Hey, that one looks familiar.
Kyle can make them strong enough to lift the Spectre, who weighs as much as eternity.
Or hold back a 12.3 dimensional Big Bang. Wait,
12.3?
DC's multiverse has 12.3 dimensions? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
The ring's only downside is that it's limited to 24 hours before needing a recharge.
So it can blow up universe.
And I don't know. I don't know. Most of the time, yes, standard lantern rings are accompanied with batteries. You get a battery with your ring, and you do have to recharge them. I was almost certain Kyle had a ring he no longer had to charge, but it is what it is. And I think once he masters the spectrum and can tap into the blue light, he doesn't need to charge it either, because blue light never runs out of charge, because you can always hope there's more juice in the ring, and there will be. That's how it works. And then the white ring never runs out of juice either, I don't think. So I don't think running out of energy or running out of time should be an issue in this particular case, especially with Kyle. I think Kyle has more than one reason why you shouldn't run out of energy.
But it has the battery of an iPhone. Never mind, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Although I'd say
everybody
Kyle's
else got to
biggest
charge it.
weakness was Kyle. With great power came no responsibility.
Perhaps a manifestation of Kyle's self-doubt. Any reflection came too late, though, when one of Kyle's villains brutally murdered his girlfriend, Alex, and put her body in a fridge.
Oh, they're bringing
Kyle
up the
wasn't
fridge.
the only one traumatized. This moment was so infamous, it started the trope called fridging.
For how female characters are often sacrificed as mere plot devices to further a male character's development.
So it might surprise you that it happened to Kyle again.
Kyle finally got serious.
Another asterisk. The second time with the supposedly his mother's head in the oven was not real. It was a mannequin head. It was a bait and switch. They wanted to trick the audience. But boy oh boy, way to get his goat, right?
He became a prominent member of the Justice League, faced off against Hal, and even rebuilt the Green Lantern Corps better than ever.
But little did he know, this torchbearer's greatest journey had only just begun.
In order to save Ganthet from an emotional lobotomy, it's a long story, he had to master all the colors of the emotional electromagnetic spectrum.
There are 7 colors, each representing a different emotion. The yellow light of fear lets Kyle manipulate the worst horrors in your mind. The more scared you are of him, the stronger he becomes.
Orange light is fueled by bottomless avarice, possessing Kyle to absorb not merely his enemies' attacks, but also their souls.
Red is rage, ripping out Kyle's heart and replacing his blood with napalm, which sounds like it sucks, but it's metal as hell.
Blue light is powered by hope and allows Kyle to heal wounds, resist mental domination, and supercharge his ring.
Indigo is compassion, reducing his opponent's will to fight and letting him open portals across space, connecting him to others.
The final one was the sapphire light of love. With it, he can trap enemies within crystal matrices and control their minds. But Kyle only mastered it by forgiving himself for Alex's tragic death.
Oh, self-love. I get it. Must be nice.
Hey,
and
mama.
with their powers...
So that is essentially the overall gist of each core, but it is by no means the full scope of what each core can do. There's certain things that aren't mentioned in that list that they just did. Like Blue Lanterns can do more things than that. Green Lanterns can do more things than that. They can all do a little bit more, or at least there's a little bit more to being of that specific color than they mentioned. They got the major things, and you don't need to go into every Lantern Corps. Otherwise, you could do a whole video just on the Lantern, so it'd be a whole thing.
Combined, he doesn't just make his enemies taste the rainbow.
The lights of the spectrum merged, and Kyle
The
became
White Lantern!
a White Lantern with total control over the power of
Super
light.
Mega
Wiz,
OP
I cannot think of
Lantern.
an attack more useless in a death battle than something that makes you live.
Empowered by the physical embodiment of all life in the DC multiverse, Kyle is vastly more powerful than any other Lantern in existence.
Far stronger than Hal, who could harness the energy of every power battery across the multiverse.
Not only can Kyle instantly heal all wounds, purify corruption, and resurrect the dead, the white light of life is strong enough to go up against threats to all of creation, like the Anti-Monitor.
Okay, so it's not totally useless.
Especially after Kyle visited the Source and acquired the Life Equation. Essentially, the Source.
So, visiting the Source, going beyond the Source wall, I don't think a lot of people understand how crazy that is. like the source wall is essentially the edge of everything in DC. It's like the edge of the narrative universe in DC. Nobody knows what lies beyond the source wall, and nobody can go beyond the source wall. Even touching it will absorb you, and you just become a part of the source wall, like a statue on the side of it, like a Han Solo frozen in carbonite with your face sticking out. Even beings as strong as Darkseid get sucked into the source wall if they try to touch it. So being able to not only go past the source wall, go directly into the source, but then come out of it is such a monumental feat for a character from DC Comics. It's insane. You don't understand how crazy that is.
Code to reality, the life equation is mathematical proof that life is worth living.
With it, Kyle can alter all of reality at a whim, even threatening the new gods like Darkseid.
The life equation, like its counterpart, the anti-life equation, is a conceptual artifact from a higher reality, originating in a platonic realm that is, in a sense, more real than we are.
So it's not a shock that the equation made Kyle too powerful.
He struggled to control it, and it subconsciously manifested a being composed of his fears and anxieties. Oblivion. Kyle's greatest weakness was still himself.
That Thunderbolts movie came out, and everybody's riding that Sentry high right now because they're seeing Sentry for the very first time. But a lot of people are going to make comparisons to like, oh, White Lantern is kind of like the Sentry, huh? And Oblivion here is kind of like his version of the Void. Yeah.
Kyle spent his whole life struggling with the power that the gods granted him, and throughout it all, he always rose to the occasion, carrying the universe on his back.
But ultimately, the only way to stop power from corrupting is to spread it. So Kyle split the life equation into pieces to found his second core, the White Lanterns. And together, they shattered Oblivion, destroying the self-doubt that plagued Kyle once and for all.
Not bad for a comic book geek from LA.
And now he was the one giving out rings of
You get a
unlimited
ring.
power to
You
people
get a
who
ring.
weren't sure if they could command it.
So he told them the truth. You can't teach someone how to use such power. You have to learn yourself, making mistakes along the way.
But with the power of life at their command, there's no end to their journey, only endless beginnings.
All right, that was a breakdown for Kyle Rayner as the White Lantern. I still, like, he's done some crazy stuff, but I don't think he's ever done anything on quite the scale. Not so much the power level, but the scale. I mean, they both run on will. It just seems like, I don't know, man. It seems like there's just no ceiling on Simone is all. So, I don't know. Let's get into it. Let's see who wins this bad boy. Willpower versus Willpower.
All right. I'm not rusty at all.
Catch.
Hey, dude. Green Lantern Officer Kyle Rayner here. Ring says you've got a Class A galactic super weapon, whatever that is. I'm thinking it's the giant mech.
He's just spinning
Why
the
don't you hand it
glasses.
over?
Gurren Lagann's mine, officer. Just who the hell do you think you are?
Is that Balrog? Vacuuming it up with orange.
I'm told I'm bad.
Attacking with a yellow Shenron.
Tell me
Alright,
about
attacking
it.
with red.
Four.
Oh. Battling with memes. Of course, Kyle.
That's nothing.
Alright,
My
Sapphire.
throne pierced to heaven.
That Sapphire was never gonna work.
Take it to Gurren Lagann.
Get big. Get big. What are you doing? Dog, did he just make a Superman? He did. With a Green Lantern sword and a Wonder Woman shield.
I'm a lantern.
We do the impossible.
See,
To be fair, it's not the first time he's done that. He has made constructs of other Lantern or Justice League members in his fights before.
the invisible.
Touch the untouchable.
Break the unbreakable.
If you ain't know,
Now
Yeah, he's
you
kind of
know.
mixing in the different Lantern powers. You said get swung, nerd. Oh, the four. Okay, all right. Here's the source wall. He's gonna go right through it, ain't it? He's gonna go right through the source wall. Shouldn't be surprised.
Stop fighting. Think about your fear of death, your
Okay,
love of your
all
friends,
right.
your compassion for me, your hope for the future. Choose life.
Have faith in the Simone that believes in you.
He's gonna break out of it. Evolve!
Super Tekken Topa in the gun! My drill is the drill that will transcend the heavens! Giga Drill Break!
Okay, that's sick. His drill made with all the lantern drills together. That's sick. What happens when your infinity meets my infinity? That's what happens when you compare characters at max level all the time. Is it winds up just going, hey man, infinity plus 1. Well, infinity plus 2. Oh my god.
The weapon wasn't your mech. It was me. Then, Simone.
It was me the
I'm
whole
taking
time.
You in brightest day.
It was me, Kyle.
Blackest night. No evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern fly!
All right, pretty solid oath.
Let's see you grit those teeth!
Oh, he lost. He got his arm just annihilated.
You'd make a good lantern.
Simone of Earth, you have been chosen.
Bruh, giving Simone, dude, giving him a Green Lantern ring would be insane, dude. That would be, that'd be awesome. That would be really
Just
cool.
who the hell do you think I am?
KO! For the guy with the snazzy sunglasses!
When both combatants possess unlimited power, it's hard to judge them by our normal standards. Take speed. Simone can hit an infinite number of targets all at once, and Kyle can fly fast enough to surpass the normal concept
it
of
doesn't
speed
matter.
itself.
When you control space and time, things like strength and speed kind of become irrelevant.
Instead,
Yeah.
let's analyze them through a lens more applicable to beings as absurd as Simone and Kyle. Their imagination, their willpower, and their ultimate.
Okay, all right, yeah, I like that because yeah, like I was saying, you can't really once you get characters that powerful, you can't really compare strength and speed. It's like I said, infinity plus 1, infinity plus 2. Like it's kind of pointless at that point. So judging them by a different metric, I think, is a good idea. Right off the nuts, I'm definitely going to say imagination should go to Kyle. Like I said, Kamina and Simone lived underground, dude. They had no outside stuff. Like, you look at their society, they have no art, no architecture. Like, there's no reason he would be crazy imaginative. And then when you look at the stuff that he creates when he does have the power of creating anything from his imagination, he just creates drills on top of drills on top of drills. I don't think that's very imaginative or creative. So I definitely think Kyle should get imagination. I think potential goes to Simone because the kid has no ceiling, right? Spiralpower, the way Spiralpower works is it's just, like I said, his whole shtick, his whole thing is, I break through barriers. Like, he saw the source wall and was like, I'm going through it with my drill. That's his whole thing. I'm gonna pierce the heavens. Like, so he kind of does have unlimited potential, because even White Lanterns do have limits. Believe it or not, they do. Within the mythos and the cosmology of the DC universe, there are limitations to what a White Lantern is capable of. But Simone, there's nothing. There's nothing above him that's going to be able to keep him from keep going up. So Willpower kind of goes towards Simone as well, I think, right? Because they've already established that Hal Jordan has greater willpower and greater willpower potential than Kyle, even though Kyle's the one that's way more imaginative. So they've already established there's someone within his own universe that already has more potent willpower than Kyle within his own universe. That's been established and agreed upon. So versus the guy who's limitless willpower and limitless potential, I think that's why they gave it to him. Let's see if that's what they say.
Potential.
First up, imagination. The boundless
Gotta
things
be
they
Kyle.
can conjure to use against the other. Both could think up just about anything the other could, like absorbing each other's attacks, fighting across time, anything.
Simone did have a few attacks that Kyle hasn't encountered, like the probability-altering missiles, but it's likely Kyle could adapt considering his ring could protect against
Pretty good.
existence being erased across the multiverse.
And in general, Kyle's constructs were a lot more creative than Simone's arsenal, which was mostly drills. Though, again, nothing Simone
Drills.
couldn't adapt to with, say, his energy absorption. Imagination is a draw.
A
That leaves the
draw?
other main factor for both characters, the
A draw? I don't know about that. I'm gonna stick to my guns on that one. I disagree. Don't get me wrong. The example of the probability missiles is a great example of some decent creativity. I don't know, man. I still give creativity and imagination to Kyle. I'm gonna have to hard disagree on this one.
origin of their unbelievable might, their willpower.
And that's really gonna be the winning factor here, since it's the source
In
of
the battle of
everything for both
willpower,
of them.
who has the
Whoever's
greater?
got the stronger willpower wins.
Both can manipulate reality on a multiversal scale with their willpower, but we can use dimensions to roughly calculate a difference. This might sound absurd for most characters, but it's necessary for beings as beyond the pale as Simone and Kyle.
The multiverse labyrinth that Simone absorbed contained
Crazy.
11 spatial dimensions.
Wild,
That's 1.3
insane stuff.
dimensions less than the multiverse Kyle's power can threaten.
And remember, each numbered dimension infinitely surpasses the one below it.
Which meant Kyle's willpower was stronger at a base level. However, that doesn't necessarily mean Kyle gets the edge, because if there's one thing both of these guys are known for, it's that they can always get stronger.
So to determine the limits of their willpower, we first need to understand their full potential.
Simone's whole deal with Spiralpower is how he can constantly evolve to get stronger. So just because Simone starts off weaker doesn't mean he'll stay that way.
Absorbing the multiverse labyrinth required Simone to leapfrog several orders of infinity in an instant. Simone made himself that much stronger through sheer force of will.
More than enough to close the gap with Kyle, especially since Spiralpower also lets him regenerate his body down to an informational level. Kyle's never destroyed something that thoroughly before.
Without the ability to easily kill Simone, it was only a matter of time before Kyle's ring ran low on charge. Especially since Simone could likely regenerate for at least a week straight. Like Nia.
I don't think the ring charge is an issue. Not for a White Lantern. That should be thrown out of the argument. Not that it changes the outcome at all, but I don't think that that's an issue.
Did. While Blue Lantern Light could boost Kyle's power, he's never jumped several orders of infinity in strength like Simone has.
And while Kyle could manipulate emotions to reduce Simone's willpower, Simone resisting the labyrinth's mental manipulation meant he could power through anything Kyle threw at him.
Everything, that is, except for the life equation. It originated from a higher level of reality and would have more than even the odds.
Too bad Kyle couldn't control it. It was just as much a detriment to him as an asset, forcing him to relinquish it to keep from destroying reality and himself.
Compare that to Simone, who merged with a version of himself writing a version of Gurren Lagann, and using Spiralpower to make that fiction into reality.
That's insane.
A pretty similar level of reality to the life equation, and a level of power Simone had no trouble embracing and mastering by the end of his story. No matter how you look at it, Simone might start weaker, but his peak will always transcend Kyle's. Isn't that how all of Simone's battles usually go anyway? That's Gurren Lagann in a nutshell.
Yeah, dude, for a guy that lived underground, he has absolutely no ceiling.
Simone's incredible potential eclipsed Kyle.
I
which
agree.
Means his willpower was ultimately greater. Kyle.
Okay. All right.
may have embodied life itself, but Simon's unstoppable evolutionary potential would shatter even this lantern's light.
I hope Kyle at least dug the fight, because when it comes to death battle losers, he was a dead ringer.
The winner is Simone the Digger.
Next time on Death
Next
Battle.
time. Who? What? Who? Roadrunner. Wile E. Coyote. Are we doing duos?
Subscribe.
Oh, okay. So it's Coyote versus Tomcat. I didn't know if they were doing duos, like a pair, like having Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner versus Tom and Jerry. But it looks like they're just doing Coyote versus Cat. So Simone versus Kyle. You know what? I'm gonna have to agree with it, dude. The guy has no ceiling. That doesn't exist in Gurren Lagann. In Gurren Lagann, it's put 1,000 barriers over my head and I'm gonna drill through every single one of them. And if you put 1,001 barriers, I'm gonna go through that one too. So kind of doesn't surprise me. Honestly, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Goku versus Superman. Goku is like Simone, right? The guy who can surpass any limitation. And the only reason he lost to Superman is because he's the man with no limits. He's the man with no limitations. So, and it feels kind of like that. Like, Simone can win this because he's the man that has no limitations, no ceiling on his structure. So, all right. Not very often that Death Battle is able to change my mind, but they did this time. And I'm going to have to agree with their logic on it as well. So, you know what? Good job, Death Battle. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there that are upset. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Gurren Lagann fans that are throwing up their hands in victory right now. But I'll actually agree with this one. Anyways, guys, that was Death Battle. I always enjoy doing these things. I love the Death Battle videos. I hope you enjoyed the reaction. If you did, hit that thumbs up button, give the channel a like. And as always, consider hitting that subscribe button to help the channel out. But most importantly, leave a comment down below. Let me know what other videos you want me to check out. And leave your suggestions down in the comments. As always, guys, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching the video with me. Take care of yourselves and have a great day.